the that I wrote down for notes is so funny. Don't read it. Okay, we good to rock? You need anything?
You want me like looking here? Do you want me like leaning
Well,
back?
we're just going to have a conversation.
All right.
Okay, so welcome to the Redefine Real Estate Podcast. I have Anthony Maisono with the Maisano Group, right? Did I get that right?
Anthony Maisono Real Estate Group.
Okay. Close. Also Max Brock, a.k.a. that's the brokerage, right? Yep. So thanks for coming out today, man. I'm excited for this conversation. The point of this conversation is exactly that, to chop it up with local agents, local people, and get some stories out there. I think a lot of times in this industry, you see like the CEOs of these companies and you see like all these fancy people and they're doing the podcast and doing this stuff, but we need like real life stories, in my opinion, of success at a level that like makes sense for people, right? You have a very successful business. You're doing very, very well. I think you're definitely a top producer in our market, but you're not the CEO of EXP. So like this could be a good conversation today. The local heroes, the local top producers. I can't steal that. That's already taken. Top producers taken. So a big portion of what we try to do as an organization is to rise the whole industry. Okay. That's really who I am and who I want to be. I think if the whole industry gets better, if the caliber of agents get better, then it's better for the consumer, it's better for us. And I think it also eliminates some of the bad practices in the industry, makes it better for us as agents, as brokers, makes it definitely better for clients and stuff. So the quick hero story, or the comic book story, okay? Yeah. What got you into real estate? What was the initial, just so people have a general understanding of who you are? Because I think you're a great guy, but I want them to understand.
Hey, well, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for being, happy to be here. So what's kind of started was I always liked real estate. I always had kind of like just a thing for like building houses. Like, I don't know why, it's always just like been in my brain.
Sure.
And then went to school at Western for finance.
Do we talk about that? I went to Western. Keep going. We did. Western Michigan, for those people, because this is obviously a worldwide show. Yeah. So like people are obviously going to see it. Yeah.
I went to Western and did finance. And there was, in the business college, they had all these like real estate classes. And I was like, these sound sweet. So I took every one that was available. And they told me at the end that you couldn't minor in it. And I was like, that's silly. But so I took all the classes I could. They were more geared towards like commercial investing, like trying to figure out how much a building is worth and things like that, not residential side.
Sure.
Because I never really wanted to do the residential sales side. I was like, there's no money in that. Like I didn't know it. So, don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
And then after college, just kind of spinning my tires, I had this big dream of, doing the investment banking thing. And as anybody in finance probably does, but it's a very competitive market. Kind of was spinning my tires, applying for jobs.
In the finance realm?
Yeah. So just applying for like analyst jobs, things like that. Just seemed entry level stuff, but I wasn't really putting too much effort into it because I knew I didn't really want that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then met Dylan Tent. So my parents have been going to his dad, who's a chiropractor, for years. And I've then gone to him too. I went to his office and he has like pictures of these houses that Dylan took on a helicopter or from his helicopter in each of the office, like of his listings sitting up. And he's like, you should go talk to my son. And I was like, no, not for me. And then after a while, I was like, what do I got to lose? So I called Dylan, talked to him. He kind of told me what to do to get my license, got my license, and then went to Sotheby's with him. Not really with him, but he was there, independent agent.
Yeah, it was the easy in, right? Like, okay, this makes sense. He's doing well.
Yeah, I was like, he's crushing it. Seems like he's doing well, so I'll go do what he's doing. And then found out it was really hard to actually, I assumed.
Shocker.
Yeah, I was like, oh, family connections. We're all in the construction world. Like, it'll be easy. Uncle told me wouldn't use me until I had 3 years experience. And I was like, oh, man. So that was kind of a rude awakening,
That was one of my questions. So let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
So you're on this journey. You make it to Sotheby's. Mm-hmm. You have someone similar age, mindset, whatever, that's doing well. And Dylan obviously has a very big business locally here. So he's doing well. He's been doing well for a while. And you're like, okay, this is cool. Yeah. And in your head, and this is one of the questions that I have, and it's kind of like it's an interesting takeaway because we had talked about this a while ago. You're like, my whole family's been in building. We've been in real estate for a long time. Yeah. I have all these connections. And then I would assume like I'd hit up my uncle and be like, yeah, okay, I'm rich now because I'm going to get all the listings. I'm going to get all that stuff. He's going to plug me in. And so what exactly happened with that without like obviously his family stuff. So I don't want to push too hard, but this is a good takeaway because I think it's a good life lesson for a lot of people.
It is. Cause it's like you think, oh, with your connection and stuff, people are just going to hand you things because of who you are, how you know them. But like taking it back, like you and I run a business.
Yes.
Just because you know someone that's just freshly new, like I'm hesitant to bring them on and do something because obviously you need to get the experience first.
Right.
But, young me was like, no problem, I'm getting this. And didn't get any of the business, and still honestly haven't gotten any of it, but I haven't really pushed it for it.
Yep.
But then his daughter got his real estate license, or her real estate license, so she does that now. But no, they're crushing it on the building side still too.
But I think that's a good takeaway, right? It's just like, it's so important that, and again, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's just so important. Like, people like assume certain things. And I think our society is getting in this place where there's a lot of like entitlement. Not saying you had that at all,
no.
But like life will show you that's not the case. And being in Southeast Michigan, like we just were talking right before we walked in, there's tons of different lenders, right? There's tons of different competitors. There's title companies, there's this, there's that. And so one takeaway that I think that you have with that is you didn't like let that deflate you. You ran towards that.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I'm going to make it on my own either way. And so that grit that gets you through that, like, it is almost like motivational of like, okay, it's going to be harder. Like, did that help motivate you along the way? Is that like part of
the?
I
mean, it was for sure, kind of defeating at first, because I was like, thinking that all this stuff, I'm going to sell $1 million, first year, no problem, and it just obviously doesn't happen like that. And, people still to this day, they'll look at the success, because I've been in it now, this is my 7th year.
Yep.
So they'll look at it and be like, oh man, he's always been successful.
Yeah.
It was like 3 years. Like, I wanted, like, my first 6 months in the business, I think my take home commission was $2,700. So like,
that's good compared to most people.
So like $2,700 and then still whatever,
yeah,
splits, things like that. So it's like, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But obviously from there, just changed different brokerages, kind of found my path where I needed to be and where I felt successful. And I think what that led me to believe was, I was always like, because there's a lot of different things in this industry of just like what you can do, what you can't do. And you know, remember when you were in the beginning,
yes,
you're like, am I allowed to call this person? Or like, can I do this? Like, when I write an offer, can I put this there? And when I just started kind of just saying like, not necessarily like, screw it.
Yeah.
But I was more like, they'll tell me if I'm wrong somewhere along the line.
Sometimes you got to rental tackle as long as it's within your moral compass and you think it's right.
Yeah. And I see like all these people that I think like, you not necessarily like stupid, but like you have some people that just aren't as intelligent as other people. And then you see these people that are not highly intelligent, but uber successful.
Yes.
And like the takeaway from that is like, these people just plow forward. They're action takers. They got horse blinders on and they just go.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to take that into my own life, because I'm more of a, let me learn everything first and then execute. And then in the business world, you realize you just have to take action and just plow forward and not let all the noise kind of slow you down.
That's giving me chills right now, because I think that's so true. And that's where successful people in our industry, and I think in other industries, do the same, whether it's mortgages, sales, wherever you're at. Like, you really do have to put blinders on, just focus on what you can control and like keep going and run till tackled. And I think that apprehensive, half pregnant approach definitely does not work in our business. You have to go for it and you have to commit to it. So when you were, kicking off your career and you started to find some success, what got you there? What was the lead sources, or how did you start finding success within the industry?
I mean, I took part in my next brokerage I went to is KW Domain in Birmingham.
Yep.
And I took part of every training they offered. I didn't have anything to do. I was single at the time.
Yes.
But it had nothing else to do other than just focus on my business. So it was kind of the best case scenario for that. Took advantage of every training program I could and just took snippets, because like for me, the cold calling, that's just not for me. Yep. It does work. I've done it.
Sure.
But it's just not something that I love to do, and it would probably make me hate my job more.
Exactly.
So, I did that, did a little bit of that. One guy told me, hey, I went through my Facebook friends list and I messaged everybody. And I was like, I could probably do that.
Seems easy enough.
I was like, it's better than cold calling. At the time, it was like rates were historic lows. So I had some like leverage on, talking to these people, not just asking if they want to buy or sell. Yep. Informing them, hey, rates are at their historic lows. If you are looking to buy or sell, just wanted to let you know that.
That's an awesome hook, right? So you have sorry to interrupt again. You have this set up, right? And you're like, okay, what is the hook to make it not cheesy, right?
Yeah. And I just copied and pasted that. Yeah. And I made sure to put their name in sales. We always address their name. Yeah. So I always put their name, copied and pasted that, and literally sent it to everybody on Facebook that I figured was at a home buying age. Yeah. And not a lot of people answered. But I did see that come back to me though in like a year or two. Sure. Because then these people know what I'm doing now. I'm constantly posting on social media about what I'm doing. I'm messaging these people about what I'm doing. And then eventually they come back when they are ready, if they haven't found someone or went another direction. But that's kind of the plan I took. Yeah. So this guy was telling me like, hey, I did this and you're probably gonna annoy people, but who cares? He's like, I made 250 grand last year doing this. He's like, do I care if I annoyed 20 people, but I still was able to support my family with this?
Yes.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to do it.
And you get to a point, like I'm at a point now where call me, I don't think I'm overly pushy by any means, but I am at a point now where like, I seriously feel like I'm really doing a disservice to this person by not trying to get them in front of my team and I. Like, I just feel like 99% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, they're going to be better served with us. Okay. Right. And there's a couple, again, you're one of those guys. There's a few people, but like it's a rare breed to have people out there, in my opinion, that like are truly going to be right through the client the whole way, know their stuff, actively communicate, are going to do the right thing. And so you get to a point where you're like, actually, this is better for them, so I should push them. Right. And so that I think that helps.
Like the market and how it works inside and out, like the lending side, like obviously you don't know everything about the lending side, but you know enough to where like you can guide your people on that. Yep. You can guide your people, you know, the title side, you know, the whole real estate transaction, you know about houses, you know about everything that involves the transaction. And that, you know, there's a few agents that I feel like I could probably service better, you know, as you said. And it's just because I spent the time to learn as much as I could in the beginning so I could service my clients better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
There's 40 or 50,000 agents, I think, licensed in Michigan, and there are about 30,000 producing agents that sell anything, right?
Right.
And so people are like, there's so much competition. Like, why would you get into real estate? It's like so hard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's not really like competitive if I'm going up against someone that spends 2 hours a week on it, or if I'm going up against someone that does it just for the money and it's all about that and making a quick buck, right? So it's like, so what's funny is if you boil down what you did, it really is a sphere of influence approach through digital, right? So, which I think is a huge takeaway for anyone listening to this. It's like, no matter what, if you're in a B2C world and you're selling something locally and you're the actual product, right? You're the service, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, there has to be some version of a sphere of influence, local contact, right? And so that was your way of doing so, which is awesome, because I made the completely wrong mistake where I was like, I had this like mental thing, like I want to build a business. And so if I build a business, I don't reach out to people that I know. I'm going to run ads, and then I'm going to call people that I don't know to get the business. And I have no idea how it worked, but it worked.
But that's where like I think I envy you in that regard, because mine was just like throw a bunch of things out there, a bunch of feelers out there, and like, you know, a few of them would trickle back, and they did, and it worked obviously, but like it took, you know, 2-3 years to get that side rolling. And then it was like, oh, let's build the business now. Exactly. So like, you know, it was, which I think that's probably the natural progression of most agents. Yes. And hopefully they do find that to build the business part.
Yes.
But yeah, I think building those systems and processes from the beginning is probably easier, because then you can service all your friends and family now better than you probably would have first. Yeah. Which then you're going to get more referrals out of, I think, because if you did a not so great job in the beginning, you can do better now. I
guess like to me, the takeaway is there's no like secret sauce, but I think a lot of agents that are struggling, loan officers, whatever, if you're not having some type of plan of attack for we on our team, we call it top 50. So it's an SOI program. We have 50 people that are likely to refer us business, and we want to do the best job that we can staying up with those people. Okay. Right. And that doesn't mean like, we were just talking about this before we walked in. That doesn't mean being cheesy and like, you know, anyone looking to buy or sell and constantly bombarding them, but providing value. We do events, we do nonprofit work. We have seminars coming up for home buyers, home sellers. Maybe they know someone. What can we do? Do you need I almost said mechanics. I want to get to cars in a minute here. Do you need an HVAC person? Do you need someone, a contractor? You need someone to work on your house? What do you need? And if you become that, what I think of like a real estate assistant, right? Like that's what I think about a good agent is like, you're a great agent. You're going to represent them through the sale, but are you like all things real estate? So like when I think real estate, do I think Anthony, right? Is that the first thing that pops in my head? And do I call you about all different projects, even stuff you might not handle, because I just know you're the real estate guy? And so if you get to that point, then the business becomes easy. But first you have to even have a clue of that's you, I guess.
And I feel like that's what I've put a lot of focus on too, is I think just growing up how I did, and creating a lot of connections in different industries, is like, I want to be that go-to guy for all my clients. Yes. So whether it's, you know, do you want to get your house remodeled? Do you want anything with a house? Obviously got you covered. I've guys for everything. Right. You're telling me out front. You're like, all right, we're talking about the build out here. And you're like, I got some great guys that can knock this out. And that's awesome. Like that, and I think the same way, you know, I'm like trying to connect those dots. Right. Yeah. So like that, doing that for all my clients, letting them know that I have someone for everything has helped, because even after the sale, or so they don't buy anything. They're like, hey, we're going to stay in the house, but we want to remodel it. Right. It's like, cool. Well, eventually you're probably going to sell. Yes. But you're going to think of me because I helped you get, you know, I put you in the spot to where my guys helped took care of this, that, and the other. And even, you know, in the car world, I've, buying, selling a lot of cars, doing that the last few years. I've had clients call me about car stuff.
That was a perfect transition. That was next on my list. I wrote down cars. So that was my note. So like, that's my question, Mikey. Cars. It's good. It's 4 letters. So tell me about the car stuff. Like all I see is like, you always are in tons of cars and selling cars, and it's just like, it looks badass, but what's the
it was for a few years. Last couple of years, obviously, as the whole world has kind of flipped around from what it was, I've always liked cars. So I've always been a car guy, into cars, things like that.
As a kid, like, were you like...
Oh, yeah. I had model cars everywhere. I'd custom paint them, do all the things.
I meet car kids. My nephew's becoming a car kid right now. That happens early. Like, he loves it.
My mom's car, my poor mom, because I would destroy her car as a kid, learning how to, like, put a new radio system in, putting new speakers in, and, like, blowing out the whole system. Be like, what did I do? So, just learning a lot of stuff, doing it all myself, kind of, But, yeah, the last few years... Obviously buying a lot of cars, selling them. But I was making a lot of money too.
So was that the goal? Is like, I'm going to buy these things to flip them to make a buck?
That wasn't like the original goal. So like in college, like I was flipping like trucks, diesel trucks.
Okay.
Would buy them.
Which is entrepreneurial.
Yeah, just fix up cars because I wasn't really working full time. I was working for my stepdad's company in the summers. And then during the school year, I would get a car that I liked, that I knew that had some, draw to it from the masses, and try to get a good deal on it. Then just fix it up a little bit. Not even crazy fix up. Throw a set of wheels and tires in there, make it look nicer.
Yep.
And then
clean it up.
Yeah. And on to the next person. So then into the world of the last couple of years was just buying anything, because everything was, any sought after car you were paying over asking price for.
Yeah, it got crazy for all COVID, all that stuff.
Yeah,
you couldn't get cars.
I was, just through different dealer connections I had, I was able to get these cars that were sought after at sticker price. So I'd get them because I wanted them, and I thought they were cool. So I'd get them, and as soon as I get it, I just post on Facebook Marketplace and for some crazy number.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I'd get it, and I'd be like, well, I guess this one's being sold. So I would, you can't turn it down. So I just sell it and then order the other one. The new one would come in, and I'd, keep that going. I remember, I think it was in 2022. Yeah, right before I bought my house. I think I had 6 cars at one point. like all like newer ones. And then thinned the herd to buy the house. And then.
Did you have a partner at the time? I can just imagine my wife be like, why do you have 6 cars?
Yeah.
This is getting ridiculous.
My girlfriend at the time was like, because she wasn't, privy to the world of the car guy stuff. Tell me now she's just like, I don't even think she hears when I talk about cars. She just tunes it out.
Completely blocks it out. It's like football. It's like for a lot of people, they're just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she'll get a car and I'm like, hey, I think it's time to sell it.
She's like, what do you mean?
She's like, we just got it. And I'm like, well, but you can make the most money right now. So yeah, but she likes it. She gets a new car very often.
Cool.
But that's slowed down. The market's not how it used to be. And I've definitely lost my fair share of money over the last couple of years on a couple cars.
Got it. So you've lost on a couple too. Welcome to the business world, right?
Yeah. So that was not that fun. So I've slowed it down.
Okay. So I think again, another great lesson here. So Matt Ciccati on my team is a great agent, and he's helping his brother kind of do the same thing. They bought this old Honda. He's like, I'm trying to show him like a skill set. And again, hopefully his brother doesn't listen to this, or if he does, hopefully he takes this away from the skill set. I really don't know his brother, how old he is, whatever. I think he's like way younger than us. Anyway, long story short, he's like, I'm trying to teach my brother a skill set. Like, buy this car, fix it up, you can sell it for a profit. It's like something, a different way of thinking. So it sounds like some of that happened kind of naturally for you for entrepreneurial thought processes and stuff, which is good. And that ties into real estate, because people get into real estate sales eventually if they like it and they have success, because they look at it as their own business, right? They look at it as like, how can I turn this into something? How can I develop it? If they get into it because they want to show fancy houses, or if they get into it because, they think they watch like some reality TV show and they think like that's what it's going to be, that's not the case. Like, you really have to build and create something and find your way through the jungle. And it sounds like for me, similar to you, the best way to do that is to have mentors and to reach out to people and figure out someone that's already hacked through the jungle. Like, hey, there's an alligator here. There's a river over here. Watch out, jump over this, because it's a lot easier to go this direction. You start finding your path, but it's hard, right? That's a hard way to get through it.
And that's actually like reminded me of like what I remember back in 2013, I think. One of my friend's dads, who's a super successful guy, owned a construction company, always knew that I was buying and selling cars as a kid, because I'd want a car and I'd find a deal on it that was, needed some work, and I'd fix it and drive it. And he called me one day and he's like, hey, I think you'd be good at real estate. You should try that. And I was like, nah. And then here I am today. So it's kind of fun.
Did you call him back like, hey man, I messed up.
did.
You were 100% right.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. And there's some overlap. What's cool if you go to Anthony's, what's your Instagram handle real quick?
It's just Anthony, and then there's 2 underscores because the other one was taken. Maisano.
Okay, cool. And then, so if you go to his Instagram, it also helps with real estate because you got these fancy cars, these fancy houses, and it kind of ties into that luxury look. Obviously, he's got the suit on today. I got like a just like a very bland button up. He's always looking fresh. So, which flows into the next part of the conversation I want to go to. So, you've had some good experience with luxury. So, what is how did you have success with luxury? What do you recommend? Is there any like thought process of the luxury market compared to, some of the more standard sales you might see here in Southeast Michigan?
The luxury stuff is fun. Like obviously it's cool. You get good content to post. It's, you're seeing really cool architecture. So it's a different world than just selling your standard, $300,000 to $500,000 house now. Yep. And to even say that kind of seems weird because now the standard is 500.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
$500,000 for like a normal house.
Yeah.
But 5-6 years ago, $300,000 house. But the luxury world's slower. It doesn't move as fast. You're dealing with the client base there is a bit different too. Mm-hmm. So I found that some people can talk to those people. Some people have a hard time with it. I've always kind of related with them. I think I don't know. Maybe that's helped me in this regard.
Sure.
But you're dealing with people who are like CEOs and executives who are in charge of people. Mm-hmm. So it can make a transaction challenging because, as the real estate expert, you want your advice taken because that's how you know the real estate, because you do this every day.
Yes.
So that poses its challenges for sure, is because you're dealing with people who are in charge of a lot of people and usually high level positions. And now you're trying to sell them a house and they want to control it too. So there's that to it. But I just think I've always kind of geared my marketing towards that. Kind of bit me in the ass a couple times because people are like, oh, I didn't know we bought a house for $300,000. We didn't know you sold houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yep.
So, trying to make sure that my content kind of shows it all.
Yeah.
I think has helped kind of diversify that, because in the beginning I wasn't selling anything, but I was, taking pictures of listings and, doing open houses at big houses and trying to gear my stuff towards that, and realized this is not what's going to pay the bills.
Yes.
These are the fun ones that you hit every now and again,
yep.
And slowly build that business up. And kind of where I'm at today is being able to slowly build that up to,
have some consistent flow.
Yeah, having consistent flow on the luxury side.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's cool because the listings are always very impressive. It's fun. I think you do an excellent job when it comes to giving those listings the attention that they deserve. And I think it's becoming a little bit more common, but it's still like 9 out of 10 times someone gets a $2-3 million listing, even whatever. I don't care if it's a $700,000 house. It's still a really nice house here in Southeast Michigan, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, do they give it the due diligence that it deserves, right? Do people really lean into all the different tools in their toolkit,
right?
Or have those tools in their toolkit to lean into it? And you just don't see that a lot. And what drives me nuts is I feel like we do more for a $300,000 listing than a lot of agents in this market, luxury agents, do for a $3 million listing.
Like the cell phone pictures, man. I can't do it.
It's nuts. It's the craziest thing that I can't wrap my head around how people go about it. But going back to that CEO thing, how do I call it equal V. So a book that I read years ago is called Barking Up a Dead Horse. Tom Batchelder's book, good takeaway for people back home. But what it does is it talks about being equal in sales. So a lot of times when we're selling, it's hard to be that equal. And so with luxury, you talk about the CEO type, always kind of managing people. Here in Southeast Michigan, we have a lot of engineers because of the big three. And so a lot of people are top tier managers or middle level managers, and they're either getting told what to do or telling someone what to do a lot of times, right?
Yep.
And so you kind of get this this vibe. And so for me, what I liked about Tom Batchelder's book is to try, he calls it an equal V. So you might be a CEO in auto, or you might be doing this, you might be doing that. But in this world, I know this, I've devoted my life to this. And so making sure that we're equal. And I think the best way to get luxury clients, or any client, but definitely the luxury client world, is to get to that point where they have that level of trust. And then you become a little bit more of a facilitator, right? Because they're like, okay, Anthony's my guy. I know he's well-versed in this. He was able to stick up for himself. He didn't let me push him around. Because of that, I want him to go sell my house.
And that's what it is too, is it's you kind of have to be a little more dominant with these type of clients and let them know that you're in charge of the real estate side.
This is my world.
This is my domain. It still has its challenges, obviously. I read something today. I don't know where it was, but it was a book. I forget. But it was being the people pleaser in negotiations is never going to get you where you want to be.
Yes.
And that makes sense. I was like, wow, that really resonated because you can't be.
Yes.
You have to tell them the stuff that they don't want to hear sometimes.
And weirdly, psychologically, the client will be more attracted to that because they're going to have more trust and confidence in you. And that's a hard thing for newer agents. It's a hard thing for newer salespeople.
It is, because to get to that point in your business where you can, you're not just like really want the deal to get closed and tell people what they want to hear.
Right.
Because that's going to get you the opposite.
Yes.
But you have to obviously say with confidence and know what you're doing. But that, I think, is what sets you apart and lets them know that, hey, this is his world.
Yep.
And so.
One of my mentors years ago, Brady Maloney, when I was at Xerox, he said, like, I was like, how do you sell these like really heavy hitting deals? Like it just didn't make, I couldn't even register. Like what I was selling compared to what he sold, it was like, didn't even make sense. Like it wasn't even like that's not even possible for a human to do. And he's like, you got to be able to walk away from the table. Like you have to know your value, present your value. And if they don't want it, say, okay, I'm going to walk away. And like, then they'll pull you back in. Like, no, wait, you actually did. So like that type of salesmanship really, really works. So my next note, again, calm, C-A-L-M, calm, chill demeanor. Okay.
Yeah.
And so why I put that, I think Anthony's a really funny guy. We're kind of like, we're keeping it pretty serious in this podcast compared to normal, but like you crack a lot of jokes. You have a very chill mentality. How has that helped? So this kind of ties in what we're talking about. How has that helped in your real estate career? Because I think one of the number one things agents can do that I learned from my previous broker is it's our job to keep that even keel, no matter what happens. And you have that so naturally, and maybe you just developed it, but can you give me a story or something? Or is this just like a natural thing? Like I think
it's just natural for me because I've always been kind of calm.
Yeah.
I think that raised Italian, you get a lot of hot heads around you. And I think that like, I've just never, like, I don't ever really get angry.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth it to me. I don't go to that point. Like, it's just, I don't think I can most of the time. Like, it just doesn't happen. And like, nothing really upsets me that much. So like, for me, it's like these deals can go south. They can go any way they want. And I think to get to that point in your career where like, you can accept that, like you have enough business built up that like you lose one deal, even a big deal.
Yes.
It hurts no matter what.
Yes.
You know where you're at in your business, it hurts. But it's like, you got to keep moving on.
Yeah.
Every time I do something or lose something like that, it's like, I try to take, okay, what is this teaching me? Did I do something wrong?
Right.
And just kind of work through like what happened, and maybe I can better myself and better the next client because I learned something from that.
Yeah, I don't have that at all. I'm like such like a natural like high energy type guy that I'm like I've had to really focus on slowing down and being that person in certain circumstances, and I do that definitely in my work now, right? Then you learn how to do it like from a leadership perspective. There's always different places in your life. For me, it's not natural. Like even right now, I'm like talking a million miles an hour. Like everyone's always like, I always tell my clients, I'm like, let me know if you have questions because I talk fast, I got a lot of energy. But that's because I'm passionate about what I do. Like this podcast, I'm into it. I'm trying to do the best that I can. And this is who I am naturally. So, but I think like keeping that composure is super, super important. And I think a lot of people that get into sales, they get into sales because like, I'm a people person and I like to talk to people. And so they kind of word vomit a lot and they make things more like, oh, the agent's a jerk or the seller's a jerk or the buyer's a jerk or whatever. Then all of a sudden that message is being communicated when usually it's your job to filter that, keep a calm demeanor. Hey, I know this doesn't go this way, but this is our next move. This is why. And you have that naturally. So congrats on that. So
done a pretty good job at navigating that. And it's funny, quick story.
That's what I'm looking for. What are these stories?
Back in, when was this? 2018, I think, or 19. One of these like MTV produced like reality dating shows hit me up. I was like, hey, let's do this interview. So I did like a round of like virtual interviews with them. I had to like go buy a ring light, sitting in my apartment, like doing this thing and very nervous. And then eventually like, all right, you made it to the in-person round. We're going to fly to Beverly Hills, put you up in a hotel and you're doing the in-person thing.
Wow.
And I was just being myself and just like calm, cool, collected. And they're like, where's the more? I'm like, this is it. Like, what do you mean? And it was just like, so there's not like, you don't have like a crazy side. Do you get really angry? And I'm like, no, not really. And so I didn't get picked, but that's probably why.
Yeah.
They were, like, they're like, we need more energy, more psycho from this guy.
Great. I would have done great when I was 18 at this.
But like the experience was a funny experience. Just so they take your phone away, your computer, and you're in a hotel room for 24 hours. You can't leave the room because they don't want you to run into other contestants in the hallway maybe that could get picked.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just like walk down the hallway, there's like a bunch of you. You're like, wait, what the?
But no, they like were feeding me shots of tequila, and they're like, all right, maybe this will like amp them up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
like,
I'm just
bring on the drugs. You're like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, now I'm just drunk.
Yeah. Exactly. Now I'm still chill. I'm just drunk and chill. Yeah. No, from our experiences through the years, like again, you have that calm demeanor, but there's a lot of good wit in there too. There's a lot of funny stories and good wit, and so you're a very intelligent guy, which shows that why you're very, very successful. But that's funny. Anthony Reality TV. I wish we had clips of this. We could roll it right now. We could roll the clips. Did you record any of these videos and save them? Like, this is my interview with the real world.
It was called the Paradise Hotel.
Yes, I think that was like a legit show.
Yeah, it was like a remake of one that was like in the early 2000s, super trashy show, which like I don't think like I didn't want to go on it. I just kind of wanted to see about this experience.
Yeah.
Like had they have selected me, I probably would have said no.
Like you're like, wait, maybe I should.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be on TV doing this. Like, not me. But nonetheless, just kind of like going with the experiences. And like that's kind of like with real estate too, is like just going into these different scenarios that you're like not comfortable with and just putting yourself in these uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
So then grow. What can you learn from it? What can you take from it? And you got a cool story later on.
Yes. Like if you're not consistently finding yourself in a deal, you don't really know what's happening, but you're going to figure it out, or some type of like pushing the limit, then like you're really not there yet. And I think that's where a lot of people they like play it safe. They might like start working with like first time buyers, friends and family. And like, they don't even like necessarily want to get into listings because they're like, oh, that's dangerous and whatever. And like, you have to like push the envelope as an agent, as a loan officer. And the thing that for me has allowed me to grow the most through the years is consistently finding myself in uncomfortable situations. Like even, whatever, even like the show, we're constantly we're trying to do stuff to be able to, again, raise the industry, make it better, and be able to communicate properly and put ourselves out there a little bit. You know what I mean? Like there's, we do a lot of YouTube, we do a lot of different video work, and you can't tell, like, so many people are like, there's so many haters on there, like, especially like my YouTube on Detroit, it's like, oh, Detroit's horrible and blah, blah, blah. And like all this like negative stuff. I'm like, have you
seen
there?
This side of the city?
Yeah. And it's like, have you even been there? Have you like been to the suburbs? Have you explored any of it?
Like, no, I live in Texas. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
They're like, I'm in Malaysia. I'm like, what? That's not. No, I'm just no offense to anyone in Malaysia.
No,
just like,
I went to
the first thing that popped in my head.
When I had one big video that went kind of like viral, I guess, for a listing in Milford.
Okay.
It was probably one of my bigger listings I've ever had, but it was just like one of my buddies too. So like I had a lot of fun with the video, and like that's kind of what I've geared all my videos to, is like showcase more like lifestyle, throw some humor in there. Just do something different. Because like for me, the standard home tour we walk through and the address pops along the bottom, and they're like, welcome to 123 Main Street.
It's like an elevator video.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm bored with this, and so is everybody else. Like we've seen it 1,000 times. So just try to do something different, incorporate the cars, because I like cars. Buddy was a car guy, had a really cool garage, pool, basketball court outside. So like just doing something different. Like I put the camera guy, I had my girlfriend drive the truck, and the guy was in the back of an Escalade with the back hatch open with his camera on. We're like filming like Fast and the Furious style, like McLaren and R8, like running down the road. But that one got like 4 million views in a few days. Shout out to Way Up Media though, because they
do a great job.
They blow it up on social media, and like that's why I've continued to use them as partners, is because their reach is huge, and it's also helps my listings, help my clients get more exposure. But yeah, the comments on that one were so funny.
Yeah, you start getting
it was so funny.
I had one last year, went viral. Great video, great listing, all that type of stuff. And again, you start looking at the comments, like I tell my sellers, like don't read it. This is gonna make you mad. Like people are like, how much for this? And blah,
$2 million
blah, blah.
house. Someone's like, it's 300 all day. And
I'm
you're like,
yeah. You're like, okay, like, so are you the agent that ran so there's some haters out there. There's also a lot of people like spreading love. The reason why it went viral is because people liked it. Yeah. Right. So there's a lot more of that than the reverse. But I do challenge you, if you're like a keyboard warrior online, I challenge you, like, this is not how you become successful in life. This is not how you move forward, like hating on things.
No,
like, please,
but if you
just
click those profiles, most of the time they're just like spam profiles. These people, like, someone created a separate one just to go talk bad on people's videos.
What is I'm like, all right, more exposure, whatever.
Into it, but like keep commenting because it boosts it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Like the
algorithm loves it.
I'm all about the haters. What's the future look like? So what are your goals? What are your ambitions? What do you think is happening with the industry? Like what is, what do you want to continue to do with your career, and where do you see it going in the future?
I guess for future of like the industry to start, I think rates are probably going to stay where they're at for a while, which I don't think that's necessarily bad. These rates, if you look over like 15, 20 year average, like these are normal rates.
Yep.
What we saw in 21, 20, and 22, like those were unheard of.
And I think people have normalcy, but keep going. Like they'll realize that this is normal.
Yeah, and this is normal. And like, it was very volatile for a while, like end of 22 and 3, very volatile. Seeing rates in the 8s, things like that, jumping up and down daily. So I think you're seeing a lot more stability now. So I think it's just going to take time for buyers to start realizing this is the new norm. And price is the new norm, which it is challenging. I mean, affordability for a lot of buyers is tough. Yep. And I understand that. Your dollar does not go as far. And the houses that they envisioned Cause like for you and I, even like you look at a $300,000 house, you have this vision in your head from growing up and like that was a $300,000 house. And now that house is 600.
Yes.
But you still have that same buying pool for that house, but they can't afford it anymore. So it's challenging. But
even having sold hundreds of houses, I closed on my new house on Monday.
Oh, you did?
Like,
I was going to ask you that.
Even for me, I'm like, anyway, keep going. It's just like, I know it so well. And I'm still like, oh man, it does suck.
I mean, I did the same thing when I bought my house. Like I'm in real estate. Why would I buy right now? This is stupid. Yeah. But the value's gone up.
Yes.
Like a couple $100,000 in almost 3 years.
It's funny. Me as a buyer or client is way worse than me as an agent. I'm way better.
I was like, I would be the worst client.
Like literally, like I ran everything by Nemish, my business partner. I'm like, hey, is this right? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like I seriously think when I buy next time, this sounds crazy. People are going to maybe not use me because of this, but I might just hire an agent. Like that's how much I believe in having a good agent.
Well, no, like when it's for yourself, you're emotionally attached to it. So like you can like, you got the horse blinders on and like maybe the things that you should be looking at, but like you're like, I really love this house because of this. But like truthfully, if you have to look at it objectively.
Yes.
But realistically, like I think that's the kind of problem too right now in the industry is everybody's looking at even forever homes or homes they want to live in 5-10 years as an investment.
Yes.
Your home is not your investment.
Yeah. They're getting on social media. Everything's an investment. It's like, all the numbers.
And it's like, they're like, well, can I sell it for this? And like, maybe, but like you can't view your primary residence as an investment tool. Like if it does make you money, that's awesome.
Yep.
Tax-free after 2 years, primary residence.
Yes.
Sweet. But if it doesn't, then or you break even or you lose money. Obviously you stay there a little longer until it bounces back. Like real estate's cyclical. It's going to come back or, it goes up and down. I don't think anybody probably had the foresight except for the handful of people that are super successful now from 2008 when everybody was losing everything. And you look at the deals now, you look back in like Bellagio and like some of the houses in Hidden Lake and Brighton between like $300,000 and $600,000.
Right.
And now they're like $2 to $3 million houses, if not more.
Yep.
And like some of them haven't even been updated since. So
yeah, I think like the answer for the people that are always looking for the answer to the question, like when to buy, it's like if it's for your principal residence, like buy and wait, like hold. And like unless you're telling me you're medical resident, you have to move in 3 years, then it's like, okay, you can buy something, but make sure we can rent it just in case the market's not where you want to be. Right. But the answer is like over time, it might go up and down, but it's going up eventually. Right. And so like people for your principal, it's like the reason why so many Americans have so much money in their principal is that the majority of Americans don't have other investments, other assets. They're not saving money elsewhere, and it forces you to save money. So that's the value of the investment more than is it appreciated as a good deal. Are you go flip a house if you're looking to make a quick buck, right? But if you want to for the investment is just the longevity of it. So the longer you stay, the more likely it is to make money for you, and you'll be good, And I think a lot of people in today's world, there's so much stuff on social media. You have the internet, you start Googling stuff, you start looking into it. It's like, oh, well, the rate,
the gurus now, man.
Yeah, all the gurus are putting it out there, and it's like that's like for most people in their principal residence, like this is not, you buy a house that you like, that you can afford for your family, you're going to live in and enjoy it and raise your family in, or just whatever, whether it's you, whoever, doesn't matter. You're going to enjoy it, right? And then obviously you don't want to get killed on the deal, but if you wait long enough, you will make money. Like that's how it works.
And I think, having an agent that's, going to represent you well too, like they can guide you on what to buy and what not to buy. Like there's certain things where like, I really wanted these deals to close, but I'm like, you shouldn't buy this house. And you just have to say that because like,
don't do that in my listings. No,
but like there's certain stuff where like you see them and you're like, I wouldn't buy this one. But like, if you just want to sell the house and get the deal closed, then you're not gonna get the repeat business and things like that. So, but to answer more of your questions, I guess on my long-term plans or future plans for me, just continue to sell, go like this, build the business up. There's always that target sales volume you want to hit. And for me, it's always like once I hit this point, I can kind of maybe pull back a little bit and then focus more on like the real estate investing side. I think I'm going to get my builder's license.
Love that.
Always, like I said, I always love the building stuff. So like I want to just start building some spec houses and maybe some custom stuff and utilize my connections, and I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. I see myself getting more into in the long term for investment stuff as well too. I think it makes a lot of sense. I purposely haven't done it. I think like one takeaway is you found although you didn't really know where you're going to start in the world, you kind of found your niche and you got really good at that first, and now you're going to add to it. And I think a lot of agents go wrong. They get their license, like I'm gonna do a flip, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like they try to do like I'm gonna do this commercial deal, I'm gonna do a commercial lease, I'm gonna do residential houses, and it's like you can't be good at all that. There's like it's such a vast industry.
Where I was probably last year, years before, like obviously I wasn't pressing that hard to grow the business as big as I could over the last year and a half. Just trying to spread myself too thin, like focusing on like the investment side, the multifamily side. Maybe I want to build and get my Florida license, and I'm like spread all across. Right. And then kind of had this realization end of last year where like I should probably just focus on the one thing. Like I know this, why am I not doing it?
Yeah.
So just focus on the real estate business right now. Keep growing my my net worth with that, and then use that as like a springboard to then keep going. Because like that's what I did in 21, and then I pulled back on it, and I shouldn't have. But flipped a house, then was investing in different things, and then kind of just stopped.
It's
but
easy
continued
to do too
to sell
many
houses, but I just like it was just I don't know.
Yeah, so. It's easy to do too many things. I think I think it's 100% okay with like automating one, getting really good at it, and be like, okay, now I have the efficiency to add another one and to slowly build it. But I think doing too many things at once will be crushing for a lot of people. And that's not just with like adding different pieces of the puzzle, but even like marketing. Like people try to do like they test this for 2 months and this for 2 months and this lead source and that thing, and like never ends up working because you don't actually give it the old college try, as they say, right? Yeah. You never actually like committed to it. You know what I mean? And so it's like
sending 2 postcards is not going to yield you results. You might get lucky and get that one phone call, but I've spent thousands of dollars on postcards and continue to.
Yes.
And like you get the one deal from it.
Yeah.
Say you make 10 grand from it. That's probably paid for your last maybe year or so if you're doing it consistently, like of postcards. But like, and those are the wins, and that's what keeps you going with it.
Yes.
But like, there's been times where I've spent a ton in a year and maybe have never gotten a phone call from it. But it's brand building. It's getting to people see your name more. So then if you do run into them somewhere, they see your listing and they see your postcards, and it's just like people don't, I think, have a hard time comprehending that it's that full circle of like
the long tail,
all those touches, and eventually it'll come back.
Yes.
But it's hard, and it's not easy just to sit back and keep spending money.
My thing now is like, I don't care if it makes me $1 for the next 5 years, but the stuff that I'm building, I want to be rocking and rolling in 5 years. So it's a huge add to my brokerage and the people that are within our organization. So the things that I'm working on now, like, again, we have so many pillars that are actively rocking and doing well that like I can afford to do this at this point. But I'm like, the things I'm working on, like Mike and I work on my YouTube channel. And I'm like we've sold a bunch of houses from it. We're selling more and more, but I'm like, what in 5 years is this going to be a huge lead source for the brokerage?
Yeah, I think that
or
YouTube
else I don't want to do it.
Like a pretty untapped thing in our market.
It's so crazy.
Like you look at like Florida's market or like California, and like YouTube is huge there.
Yes.
And the certain group of agents are killing it. There's one dude who does it here.
There's a couple, but
that like do it pretty well.
Yeah.
But for here, I don't think there's a ton of people that are really doing YouTube and doing it well.
Yes.
And doing it to where they can actually get revenue and get leads for their business from it.
Yep.
Which, I have these people calling me all the time like, hey, we'll help set up your YouTube thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I probably should invest in that, but one day.
Yeah, this channel is Redefine Real Estate. Well, we have another channel that we do. I won't even mention on the show because I want to provide value to you. But this is supposed to be industry stuff. So I want to build the whole industry. Another channel that helps build clients from out of town buyers and stuff like that. So there's a lot to it, and the marketing stuff I enjoy. I nerd out over it. And again, but sticking to something for the longevity I think is huge. Whether it's buying a home and waiting, whether it's finding your way as a real estate agent, whether it's a specific lead source, sticking with it and not quitting, I think is the biggest thing that showing success for me. And I can tell the same for you because it wasn't all easy, but here you are, you're rock and rolling.
How many times have you been kicked down throughout your journey in this career?
Yeah.
A lot.
Like twice this morning, I think already.
Yeah.
So it's
a daily, you're just numb to it at this point.
Yeah.
But what's your 5-year plan? Where do you see this going? You got built a beautiful building.
Thank you. We're the show's supposed to be by you. So we're excited. Our 5-year plan. Our goal is to be actually in 2 years top 100 brokerages in Michigan. So that's our plan.
Yeah.
We have a very specific plan of getting there. We don't want to build the build. There's a lot of like mega teams around, and they recruit anyone with a pulse or a license, and like that's not what we're looking for. Like my plan out of the brokerage is to build a Navy SEAL type team. I want elite agents where if you're working with Redefine Real Estate, like they're the best of the best.
Right.
I think the reason why you even came here and have a conversation with me is because you probably have some type of feeling towards that and our business and stuff. And so we want to attract that. And again, like I keep talking about, rise the whole industry. So we'll be about a 30, 35 person company, nothing huge. That will get us to top 100 volume wise and stuff like that. And I think everyone within the organization will make really good money. Our admins will be very, very successful, and we can do a lot with our community. Our goal is to be the most trusted, giving, and innovative real estate team in Michigan. And so first and foremost, trusted. We're nothing without trust in this business. You get that. Second is giving. If we get to that top 100, the journey along the way will allow us to give back a lot to the community. We do quarterly nonprofit work and stuff like that. And lastly is innovative. Like I really want to build something that's different. Yep. And that's why we have like pink lights and we're the podcast studio. And
I love
whatever.
it.
We're trying to do that modern thing. And again, make the industry better because it's a serious thing. As fun as like luxury is and like building the business and like making money as an agent is like a fun thing when it really boils down to it. Like, these are people's livelihood. It's usually one of the biggest financial investments that they have. It's their shelter. It's a huge thing for people. It's a huge part. It's a huge part of their journey. And so I think it's easy for us to lose that as agents, but we want to deliver the best possible product to serve those people. Right. And so I'm excited. I think we're well on our way to do so. I want to continue to do this type of stuff, be involved with the industry, whether you're part of our organization or not, network with those people, find our tribe, and continue to make the whole thing better. And the market will take care of itself from there. So
I like it. Like I said, the building here is sweet. I think you're well on your way to do it.
Thank you.
The podcast studio is cool. Like that. It's way more set up than I thought it was going to be. So
yeah, we soundproofed in here and everything. It's all blacked out. We got some fancy lights going now. We're adding to it. Yeah. So yeah, you're welcome. We're welcome to come back, or if you know anyone that wants to jump on a show, like we want our space to be. Oh yeah, he's like, I'll be here tomorrow. Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming out and having this conversation. Hopefully, some people grab some really good nuggets, because I think there's a lot of them in there. Your story is great. Your success is very obvious, and I think it will continue to show. So looking forward to doing many deals together, and wish you continued success.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks, man.